in the receiving mode to manifest your desires. That's the thing, man. Gotta be in the receiving mode to get what you want. The interesting thing is, like, a lot of people don't know that their minds are programmable. How you guys doing? A lot of people don't know that they can program their own mind. A lot of people don't know that they are walking programs as well. They don't know that they're like their programs. Their own program. People don't know that. People don't know that the power of imagination. They don't know that when you can apply repetition to something, that's when the mind and the brain develops what's called neuroplasticity. And if the brain perfects that thing, and that thing becomes a habit, which become your routine in your life. I don't think a lot of people realize that. I'd always say, man, I was like, why would I force something that don't work? Like, why would I listen to my ego mind? My ego is always, because I was always trying to force stuff. We're taught to force to do stuff to, like, have you ever noticed when you want to accomplish a goal or a desire or goal in your life? Have you ever noticed, like, when you're doing it, your mind always comes in and your mind pushes you and tell you, like, you can't sit still, you got to do something, even though you don't know what to do, but there's like this voice or there's something telling you you got to do something. You ever notice that stuff? Well, if you notice it, and you're probably like me, you probably followed it, and you probably messed up even more, because you dig a hole, and now you dig a deeper hole because your mind is saying, look, man, you can't stand still, you gotta do something. Look, I don't do that. I don't do that anymore, because here's what's happening. When I force stuff, it never works out. A matter of fact, I get into a deeper hole. So I always used to ask myself, I used to wonder, like, okay, why am I doing this? I mean, that's what isn't that, I see everybody doing it, so I assume that this must be the correct way to do stuff. That's when I realized, I'm like, man, everybody's doing everything wrong. I'm probably like one of the few people, or you guys are probably some of the few people out here, or individuals that are doing things the right way. See, when I don't know what to do, I don't do anything. A matter of fact, I ignore my ego. Even if it's telling me to do something, I kick it out. Because, see, what you don't understand is your ego tells your subconscious what to do. Your subconscious is designed to listen to your ego, which is your conscious mind. It wants to talk to the subconscious to do something. So when you're forcing something, your subconscious is also forcing something as well. And that's why we miscreate. To be in the receiving mode, it's all about escaping the resisting mode, which is in your conscious or ego mind. Repeat that. If you want to be in receiving mode to manifest, you have to release the egotistical part of your mind. Look, check this out. Here's something you gotta understand. When working with the mind, when you're using your mind, because we do it all the time. We live in our heads, if you don't realize that. You don't live in the world. The world lives in you. All of your senses and all your perceptions are unique only to you. You can stand next to one person and have a total different experience, even though you are in the same space, the same area, right next to that person. That proves that reality is only independent to you, the observer. So the fact that we live in our minds, okay, when working with the mind, there is no time within the mind. The past, the future, the present is like this big glob, all within the mind. And what happens is this: when someone can realize that there is none of that past, future, everything is now. Intellectually, in their regular thinking mind, in the 3D world, they see what's called their future self. So I'm going to show you what receiving mode is. So the future self is what you write down. If you're someone like journaling, if you're someone that's visualizing, maybe you're someone that's manifesting something. Majority of people, they either use their imagination with what we call visualization. Some people do it through what they call feeling. They can feel their way to it. Some people do it when they script. But the point is, they are targeting something within the mind, right? So it's all about the future self. People want to get into their future self. They want to see the life. They want to see the goals. They want to see the dreams. They want to see the aspirations. So here's what happens. When you get into that mode, okay, you're doing that in a mind. And the same mind you're using, you're trying to put time into that mind. You're trying to say, well, that's why we call it future self. But here's what I want you to understand. When you're doing that thing in your head, it's your ego that's telling you it's a past, it's a future. But what actually is happening in the space of the mind, time cannot exist. So it means that literally your future self is happening right now. So to get into receiving mode, you want to know, not believe. You want to know that what you want is already done. You want to know you're going to have it. You want to know it's yours. How many people can do that? Belief is a very powerful tool. You need belief, but there's a more powerful tool than belief. It's knowing. If you come to me and ask me, you say, Mark, do you believe that is that, or do you say, Mark, do you know that is that? Which one is more powerful? When you know something. If you say, do you believe that? And I said, I know that. Who are you going to come to? You're going to come to me. You're not going to come to someone that says, oh, I believe that. But I say, hey, I know that. Oh, man, hey, I believe that. Well, this guy knows that. I'm going to the guy that knows this stuff. The guy that believes it, yeah, but if there wasn't a guy that knows it, I would stick with the guy that believes it. But what if there's a guy that just knows this? I'm going to go to the person that knows it. Well, it's the same with the universe work. It goes in steps, modules. So to get to the knowing, you got to first pass the first level. You got to master belief. Once you can master the belief, then you become an expert, creator, or manifest, whatever you call it. Then you get to the level up, man. That's when you get to the state of knowing. So for me, to know something without believing it, that's a game changer. I'm going to show you how to do that right now, because your brain, being conscious people, our brains can't know something without not knowing it. You know what I mean? So your brain is like trying to figure this out while I'm talking. She's like, but how the hell are you going to get to knowing something? So I'm going to show you how you're going to get to knowing something. And I'm going to use myself as an example. And I'm going to use the lottery, when I won the lottery, to put this into perspective. Because this is the perfect example of knowing something before in my future self. So check this out. So first of all, the consensus is this. This is what everyone teaches and they say to you, which is true. They say, look, you have to get into the feeling of your desire before your desire, right? Faith. There's some people say faith, believing without proof, right? So you all heard that before. So everyone knows that. But a lot of you guys don't know what it actually means to do that, because they don't show you examples of what I can do to tangibly get into the state of knowing, or what I call receiving, knowing something before I receive it. So here's a perfect example to show you what I mean by that. So, a few years back when I won my first big jackpot, the lottery, what I was doing, I first believed I could win the jackpot. And then, as I started believing, I started to know I am going to win the jackpot. I just knew I know, or I know I knew. And what that led to was here's the big thing that led to. 1 year before I won, If you guys know my story, you follow me, you knew that I was manifesting this slick top, rare, one of 10 BMW M3s they ever made in the world. They only made 10 of them. It was a 2004 E46 M3. That was the most beautiful car I've ever seen. I didn't want a Porsche. I didn't want a Lamborghini. I wanted that M3. And it was there to look so good. And a classic car. Even now, I still have my car. And the car is even worth more now than it did yesterday because it went up in value. But I wanted that car, right? So that's the car that spoke to me. And when I seen that, I was like, man, I'm going to win the lottery to buy that car. Okay, so I believe now. See the first step? I mastered the first step of belief. Next step now, I started to know. So you know what I did, man? 1 year before I even won the car, I went out and I bought a steering wheel cover for a car I didn't have, that my ego didn't know I could get, but yet I bought a steering wheel cover for this M3 car. At the time, I didn't have, I think at the time I had like another BMW. It was like an older BMW, but I bought a steering wheel cover for an M3, high performance, and then I went and bought the mats for the M3. It was like called the M mats. I got those specially made for the car 1 year before I even manifested. So I bought the car. I even bought air freshener. 1 year. I kept everything. So I had my steering wheel cover, I had my mats, and I had my air freshener for a car that didn't exist, that I didn't know how the hell I was going to get the car. But I just know I was going to have the car. I know I was going to win the lottery. That's knowing. See, that's an example of knowing. See, I did something ahead of my future self. Then, what I did, I even did more. I said, you know what? I'm going to win. So let me I'm going to get a bag. And I had this bag in my closet. And I put a jeans. I put a shirt. I put a socks. And I put the shoes I was going to wear to collect my money when I won the lottery. Not only I put the shoes in there, but I also put a cologne that the day I won, I'm going to spray the cologne on and go to the lottery district office to claim my lottery check to buy my car cash. That's state of knowing. I did all these things 1 year. Those things were in my closet for 1 year. Cologne. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? I caught up to my future self. See? The exact thing happened. I won the lottery. I bought the car. I took the stuff I had in my closet. I put my steering wheel cover on it. I took my M mats. I put the M mats in the M3. Right? I went to the lottery office, got same clothes I was in my closet for 1 year, same cologne, sprayed it on myself, went into the office, had the check, presented it to the teller, showed me the screen, congratulations, here Mr. Haughton, here's your lottery check, put it in the bank, got the money, went down and bought my sports car. How I did this 1 year before. Now let me show you something now. If I didn't do this, most likely I probably wouldn't have won or manifested it. If I didn't know and put that knowing into the present moment, it probably would never happen. Who knows? Probably would have never happened. That's what you call knowing. I bring what I want into this current moment. That's how it is, guys. So if you want to be in receiving mode and you want to do something, it goes beyond lottery, man. If you want to create something in your life, you have to bring what you want into your life as right now. You have to play the role as if you already are what you want right now as this moment. Can a non speak English subliminal work to unlock blocks? No. Your subconscious knows your language, so you got to use the language that you communicate with. Right. You see? Do you see how that works? Are you so? For example, let's say you want to live in a wealthy house or be wealthy. Okay? You have to go meet your future self. So what does that mean? You have to bring that into this present moment. But man, bro, you talk about, like, I get what you're saying about manifesting a car. Yeah, that's easy. I could buy stuff for a car. But like, what about wealth? Oh, it's the same process. Here's what you do. If you know you're going to be wealthy, what do? You go meet your future self, because remember that in the mind, past, the present, and the future are one. So what do you do if you want to be wealthy? Here's what you do, man. You pick yourself up and you go to the wealthy side of town. You go sit in that wealthy coffee shop, man. You go walk around in those wealthy stores. You are emanating what you want now, which is going to meet your future self. You want a car? Go buy the stuff for the car before you even get the car. Buy a steering wheel cover like I did. Buy the air freshener. Because you see, the only part of your consciousness that can get to that world or that realm is the unconscious. All right? How do you do it if you want to be profitable in Forex trading? That's very easy. All you do is you go online and you look at a Forex trading chart where it shows someone with a very high profitable trade money, because they're all over there. They post stuff with, like, you go online, you look at that, you take that and you put it as your screensaver on your computer, and every day when you open up your Forex, you see the chart of like a big trade. Boom, you're meeting the future self. This is so easy, man, but we make it so difficult. How do you restore relationships with loved ones? Is that possible? Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's possible. All you have to do is see it when you in the mind. It's something you could. If you can't see it in the mind, you write it down. Say, okay, what would it look like to have that relationship? Surround yourself where you see people with good relationships. There's things you could watch to show, like, oh, me and my family fell out, but we fell back. We had reunions. There's movies about that. There's document. If you surround yourself with all those things that show you it's possible and it works, you're bringing that future self into this present reality. Right? So that's the thing. You have to know in order to receive. That's just how the universe works. Because again, I repeat this, and people don't understand this, man. There's two worlds simultaneously happening in the same time. We live in two worlds at the same. You live in an analytical world where you use your mind to process information, and those are called your senses. Those are the visible senses you can use. But at the same time, you're existing in a world that's beyond the senses, that only the unconscious can communicate with, and in that world, that's what we call the impossible, because we can't see it. So how do we? This first step to get to that world. The first step is to believe it or have faith. Now that will start to bring that world into light. But the ultimate goal, if you want to be a high manifestor, high achiever, you just have to know that it's going to happen for you, and then you have to live as if it's happening now. You have to give your mind examples. You have to show your mind evidence of that stuff right now. The mind looks for evidence. The mind wants to see the mind wants to see the proof of it. Now, I'll say this. Not particularly the subconscious, but the conscious mind, because it communicates with the subconscious. So you want to get your conscious mind on board, because the subconscious is easy. It believes anything. But, look, when I was buying that steering wheel cover for a car I didn't have for 1 year, when I was buying the mats and all that stuff, my mind would just blaze up on me every time. It's like, bro, what are you doing? You're going to look like a fool. You're buying something that the odds of you getting it is like ridiculous. So my mind's like, so you mean to tell me you're going to go play the lottery, you're going to go win this money, you're going to go buy that car cash and all that stuff? That's what my conscious mind was telling me. But I knew, because I kind of knew, through quantum theory and quantum mechanics, I knew how this stuff worked in the universe in my mind. So I was like, well, theories, the laws, and my mind and the subconscious. I was confident. I was like, all right, this stuff works. So I was kind of confident. I wasn't banking on my conscious mind. I was banking on my unconscious mind. So I was pretty much confident that, okay, this stuff works. I just have to apply it and I have to be patient. So I just kind of ignored my mind. But I don't, how many people can learn to do that? Many people fall off. They probably get trapped up in their own ego, and then they mess up their manifestation. Right? See how it works? So that's the secret, to be in a state of knowing, to bring either what you want as evidence, as experience, or as feeling. And as evidence, I'll just give you the example. Like I bought a steering wheel cover for something I didn't even have. I didn't know I was gonna, until you want to believe. I want to believe it, but your ego wants to get in it. But I just was a deeper feeling, because we all have a higher self. So if you don't know that, can you manifest a large certain of money within a certain amount of time? You can manifest a large sum of money, but if you're thinking of a certain amount of time, it's not going to happen, because you're going to create resistance. So all you have to do is intellectually, there's a certain time, but don't focus on the time. Unconsciously, focus more on manifesting the actual money. You'll get it at that perfect time. What you guys got to understand is every single thing that's going to come into your life is going to come at a divine timing. It's going to come at the perfect time for you. Stop trying to meet deadlines and manifest money in 1 month and all that stuff, because you're really going to create resistance. It doesn't work that way. I had the law of assumption for a scholarship and it didn't work. Well, but if you tried the law of assumption for a scholarship, it didn't work. You didn't do it the correct way, point blank. Because if you do this stuff the correct way, you're going to get the results, as I showed you. And this is why I'm here, to show you how to do stuff the correct way. First tip, if you're going to do anything the correct way, don't put time on anything. People put deadlines. Mark, can I manifest $10,000 in 1 month? I like to get $20,000 in 1 month. What do you think is going to happen then? You're focusing more on the time, which is going to create resistance. You're not going to be in the flow. Remember, the time is irrelevant. It doesn't exist. And your mind is right now. The future, the present, the past is all here. So bring it into and the irony of all that is, when you manifest it, it's going to be at that correct time. It'll come at that month. Like, damn. But it only comes then because you don't have resistance to like 30 days or I got to get this money by then. Just focus on the task at hand. Everything else is going to take care of itself. That's how it works, right? So you can manifest money right now, because the certain time you want to manifest money, the time is now. There is none of that. Someone's here was intentions is key. If you're trying to manifest for your ego or self-gain, it will not come. Yes, now actually, intention is making a decision. For example, you decide you want something, then you move. That's the biggest step to get to this. You got to decide. Now, interestingly, you can manifest from your ego. So the ego, I call the ego the lower self, and I call it, of course, your higher self to manifest. So you can actually manifest from two different phases. You can manifest from the lower self, which is the ego, and the manifestation. I'll give you an example what ego manifestation looks like. Ego manifestation is something that you'll push and you'll try and you'll force, and eventually you'll get it. And when you get it, you wasted all the energy. It's not as rewarding as it is, and then it crumbles. It's not sustainable. It'll stay for a little bit and then it'll fade away. That's called lower self manifestation. That's what most of us do. That's what most of us manifest. We manifest from lower self, and that's why we don't have consistency, right? Does the block show the technical and how to implement this? Right? Right. I don't understand. What does the block show? What technical? So that's an example of ego manifest. Now, an example of a higher self manifestation now is when you're watching from behind the scenes, you're open for the signs, you're listening to your intuition, not your ego, and then you're taking inspired action to meet your goal. That's when things work out in divine time, and that's when you get what you want, you're going to sustain it and you're going to keep what you want, because now you know that was in purpose with your desires. Oh, you're asking me, does my book shows this techniques and the way it's implemented? Yes, yes, yes. My book has some of the techniques and info, but I'm showing you right here now. So I'm showing it to you now to implement it. So if you want to implement to get into the receiving mode, here's what you do. Step 1, make a decision or an intention on what you want. Step 2, write it down, visualize it, feel it, any one of those threes if you can. Step 4, understand that there is no time in the mind. It's only the past, present, and future are one. And then step 5, live in that embellishment of that future self. Now, remember, it's good to bring evidence to your mind. The mind loves evidence. The mind loves to see something. Like, the more evidence you can bring to your mind, the faster you're going to get your manifestation, so to speak. I just, faster means more alignment, but people want to know fast. So they ask me, what's the fastest way? The more evidence you can show your mind of this thing, the faster it's going to get. Even better, the more physical evidence you can show, like a real thing, it's even faster. Like for example, the car. Like if I wanted my car, right? What did I do? I brought something that I didn't have already. I brought the steering wheel of the car. I bought the mats for a car that I didn't even have. It was a year away from manifesting for me, but I bought it, and I showed my mind evidence. So I tapped into my future self, and because of that, my unconscious mind has no idea that the past, the present, and the future are one. To it is just a block, like a block universe. Like everything is happening right now, it's overlaying. So it had no choice but to meet that vibration with me so I can experience that stuff. That's right. Then that's a good point. Then I started seeing the car everywhere. That's right. When I started doing that, the first tip that I knew this stuff was working was I started seeing the yellow car every single where. Like, I think I mentioned it one time, man. I was in the traffic, and there were like 6 yellow cars, like blocking me around. There was one behind me in my rear view. There was one in front of me. One was next to me, and on the other side of the road there was one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then as I drove down, there was 2 more yellow cars coming out. I was like, man, so this is how this stuff works. And I was like, okay, so I really live in my mind. I mean, the world is in me. I'm not in the world. The world is inside of me. I was like, wow. It's so hard for us to understand that because we're such physical beings. We see things with senses, and people don't understand this. People don't get this. People don't understand that the 5 senses you have are nothing. That's not the universe. The 5 senses we have, guys, they aren't even a fraction of seeing the entire reality, man. No, people understand. People think, let me show you something. You think right now this world you're seeing is the real world? I have news for you. You ain't even seen it yet, Jack. You ain't begin to understand what reality is. You and I are only seeing 1 to 3% of what we call the electromagnetic spectrum of reality. 98% of the real reality is hidden from our senses. That means there are things going on, being said, sounds that you can't hear, different light waves, different dimensions, different worlds, different realities. They're all happening right now in front of you and I at this very moment, and our brains are incomparable to understand, decode it, or sensing it right this moment. Facts. Facts. Right now. Imagine sounds that are happening right this moment that you can never hear. Same thing with the sound wave. We only can hear about a fraction of the actual sound wave. The only way you can get a peer or a sample into that world is through your mind, through what you're seeing, through what you're writing, through what you're feeling. Okay? Think about that. And then when you tap into your higher self, that's even more that brings that world into it. Because look, here's how it really works, man. And I said this before. Like, okay, when you can't see something, right? Or when you want something is not there, what do we say? It's impossible. We hear that word thrown all the time. Man, it's impossible. So what's the reason we say something is impossible? Tell me what's the reason we say something is impossible. The reason we say something is impossible is because we can't see any physical evidence of that thing happening, or because something we've never experienced, or our mind has never conceived. Therefore, the mind says, if I can't see it, if I can't conceive it, it's impossible, right? Because you've never seen it. It's like the unimaginable. But here's the fact you have to understand. Impossible, there's no such thing as impossible. What there is just what you can't see right now because of what you have in your senses. See, the thing is, your senses can't see the hidden part of reality. So we call that the impossible. So what do we do now? We form a belief. Beliefs now will start to make the things we couldn't see start to become possible. Because what a belief does, a belief will open your unconscious mind to tap into that world and then start to funnel a little bit of information into your conscious mind, so you start to see evidence of it. So evidence will be, oh, well, I just seen a guy did that thing that I thought was impossible a month ago. That's an example of it. So now you start to believe it's possible. Once you get to that realm, move to the top level, which is where you master the knowing now. That's when you know you're beyond belief. And that's the game changer for everyone. When you can get to that state, and I think that has faith to do with it. Faith and knowing would be together, but knowing is preparing as if it's already here. Repeat that. Knowing is acting, feeling, and preparing for what you want as if it's already here. That's what you call knowing. I mean, look, people say, well, Mark, I want to manifest a new house. But okay, why don't you start to show evidence of it to your mind? How do you do that? How do I show evidence of mine? You go out and you buy a little plaque that says, this is my house. You buy a picture that you're going to put up in your house. You buy a little, like, fake, what do you call them? Plants or something. I'm just going to put on my terrace. You start to put evidence, man. You go out, you buy something small. You buy like a little carpet or something. I'm going to put this in my room when I get my house. Oh, I'm going to hang up this sign that says, welcome home. I'm going to get the welcome home mat. Why don't you buy those stuffs in your little apartment and put it in your closet, man? Because look, people don't understand how science works and how the mind and physics work, man. You know, when you do those things, those may, in your conscious mind, they may seem like quacky, ridiculous, stupid stuff. But that's fine, because you don't understand the bigger thing here, that what you're doing is you're actually bringing the future self into the present moment, because your unconscious mind is at work here, and it sees beyond your conscious mind. First thing people got to understand, look, you're not as smart as you think you are. That's your ego fooling you. So people got to first get over themselves, because everybody has this analytical mind like, well, that doesn't make any sense. What the hell? I can't see that. You're going to miss out, man. You're going to miss out. You can't approach things like that. You got to be open-minded. And that your ego will stop you from getting it. So once you can get over that and understand, okay, so I'm going to buy this. If you put it in your little apartment and you visualize what you want and you write it down or whatever works for you, I will guarantee you, that you will have that home and you will be putting in that mat right there. Just like I had that car a year before and I was putting it on my steering wheel and I was putting it in my car mats. You will have the same results, because I showed you, I said the critical points to get your mind is to show it evidence. If you can show it evidence of physical stuff, that's even better. And the reason why, because I just showed you again, say your unconscious mind is irrational. It's like, it's stupid and it's very smart at the same time. Stupid, what I mean by, I'm using this just to make sense to you guys. When I say it's stupid, it means like it doesn't know any better. If it sees you buying a mat for a house you don't have, it's going to believe you have the house. Smart now, because it's going to make you manifest and own the house. And when I mean smart, because it knows incalculable ways for you to get the money, the funds, whatever it is to get that home that your regular mind can never even reach. That's why I say people aren't as smart as they think they are. If you want to become intelligent, if you want to become superior intellectually, you can't use your rational thinking mind. Intelligence don't live in your thinking mind. Intelligence exists in the unconscious mind. You know what exists in your rational mind? Analytical, judgment, pride, ego. Real intelligence is in the unconscious mind. And that's what you do. You know, the definition of a genius or someone that knows something is when they can make something that's very deep or seems very critical, when they can bring it down so like a 6-year-old kid can understand it. And most of the stuff in life is very simple. And I just showed you, I said, look, man, if you want to manifest something, if you want to be in the receiving mode, if you want to get something to you, if you want to increase it, you got to get into the state of knowing. And they said, well, I don't know. I just showed you how to get in the state of knowing. I said, go out, get something physical, get something tangible, put yourself in the environment. Okay, what else can I do, man? That's pretty much it. And if you're visualizing and if you're doing your work, I mean, it's going to happen because that's just how the mind is made up. You know? Can you share something about your personal life? I just shared something about my personal life. I just showed you how the lottery went with the future self. I want to pay off my mortgage. I wrote out the check to pay it in full and look at it daily. All right, you did great, but the mistake you're making is you don't look at it daily because you're going to create resistance. Write the check. Look at the check one time and put the check away. When you're looking at it daily, you're going to get your ego into it and you're going to start to get resistance because now you're going to say, the ego is going to look at the time. It's going to say, well, it's been 1 month. It's been 2 months. And that's going to creep into and it's going to create doubt. Anytime you want to do something, you just do it like this because it's how the unconscious works. You got to show the mind that it's already yours. So if I was want to pay off my mortgage, all I would do is I'd write the check. I'd see the amount. I'd look at the check one time. It's in my mind now. And I'll go put the check somewhere where I know that when it happens, I'm going to get that money. I'm not going to look at it every day. Because if I'm looking at it every day, it's like I'm affirming that it's not there or it's not possible. But if I look at it one time, put it away, I already know it's a done deal. See how it works? That's how it works, guys. I'm trying to know if I'm trying to really get your attention. Where can I create my reality? If you want to create your reality, you have to first have a desire to know what you want. You have to decide, this is what I want. So if that's the trick to pay off, if you want to pay off your mortgage, right? You're welcome. Right? Give what you want to receive. Do you think intermittent fasting intensifies your manifestation? I wouldn't say it intensifies. I wouldn't say it intensifies your manifestation, but it does intensifies your vibration to reach your manifestation, because your manifestation is already complete. Anytime, look, here's another secret or whatever you want to call it that people don't even know. Anytime you write something down, if you visualize that thing repeatedly for amount of time, and let me give you an amount of time, would be easy. Let's say you write something down and you visualize it, let's say for 10 days, just for 10 days, that stuff is already now complete. It's already manifested. I'll repeat that. If you can visualize and do something consistent for at least 10 days, that thing is already manifested. Here's the reason why. The brain is looking for a pattern and is looking for repetition to see if you're serious. So you won't be in a state of like instability. So once the mind can lock on and say, okay, we've been doing this for an amount of time, it notices that pattern. What happens now? The thing you want now, through quantum theory or quantum mechanics now, the energy part that makes the physical part is in another dimension next to you. It's an actual event in what we call space-time. It's raw quantum information that's being ready to be transmuted into physical experience things. But the fact, it is a done deal. Just because your senses can't see it. If we had super sensitive stuff, you could experience a manifestation right this moment. But our brains don't have that. So you're incapable of doing that. So things have to transfer into a 3D format for our limited 5 senses to get it. So it's not about manifesting. That's an easy part. That's already done. It's about getting your vibration aligned so you can reach it. That's the trick about this stuff. Okay? What books do you recommend for me to learn what you teach? My books. I got 2 books. You can visit my website or YouTube channel. I'm just teaching you from what I've experienced and from a different perspective. I use the subconscious and quantum physics to tie stuff in on a scientific aspect so that you can see the evidence, which can bolster your belief, and it can just help your logical mind to see how things work on a universal scale. But the key to manifesting to receive mode is what you want is there, guys. You just have to get to it. That's the trick. It's already over there. You just got to walk to it to get to it. But see, most people, the reason why they don't get to their manifestation is because they create a lot of resistance of their own, by their own doing, of course. People, so look, someone will say to me, Mark, I'm positive, but I can't be positive all the time. This has nothing to do with being positivity. Here's what this has to do with. It's about what your mind decided you want and focusing on that. That has nothing to do with positivity. All right, for example, if I'm someone and I want to manifest money, that's what I'm on, right? Wealth. Let's say you want wealth. You cannot get to wealth if you're someone that's like acting very cheap all the time when it comes to money. You can't get to wealth if you're looking on people that have a lot of money and hating on them. You see what I'm showing you? That's what I'm talking about. So you have to match what you want internally and externally around you. That's all I'm talking about. That has nothing to do with positivity. See? So you don't have to be positive all the time because no one can do it. But what you have to do, you have to be consistent in your beliefs. That's going to take your vibration and that's going to help you to get to your desire, because it's already waiting for you, right? It's right there waiting for you. It's like you have a package at your store and the UPS or the FedEx is saying, hey, your package is delivered, and you got to drive down to get it. But every time you're driving down, like there's traffic blocks, the road's blocked off. See, all these blocks are happening. But the fact is, the package is already at the location waiting for you. That's an example of how people mess up. And then someone who knows the game and it says, hey, your package is at this facility. Okay, I'll be right down there. The road is clear for them. All the lights turn green and they get their package. They're like 20 minutes they get their package. And the guy was like, man, you got here fast. It's like most people take an hour to come down here to get their package. Why took you 20 minutes? Because you know the game. You know that, okay, it's my vibration. It's what I focus on. And I'm going to cut the resistance. I'm going to pick up my manifestation. I deliberately create wealth and success with other people's life. What do you mean? It was on TikTok. I'm going to save this live so you can rewatch it. So that's the thing about manifesting, guys. So if you can do something consistent for at least 10 days, you've created it already. Because in your mind now, it accepted, okay, this is a pattern. So How can you pay off debts? Okay, same thing. Bring your future self into the present moment. Ask yourself this question: how would it feel to pay off my debts? Image must come to your mind. What would it look like to pay off my debts? Image got to come to your mind. Something got to come to your mind to what it looked like. Okay, if you can't do that, okay, why don't you go look at other people who paid off debt? Search. People who paid off debt. Well, how it looks. So many people. Look, I paid off my debt. All that information now gets as evidence. See the evidence? I'm talking about evidence. Now your mind believes, oh, we can pay off the debt. Now what you do now, you can visualize it, use your mind, you can write it down, and then you will start to get information to open the avenues for you to pay off your debt. This formula works with everything. Oh, you said, Mark, I celebrate with people who have wealth and success. Yes, that's now if you're going to become wealth and success, because you're going to become what you think about the most. You're going to become what you judge the most. You're going to become what you hate the most. You know, here's the other aspect. Here's the flip side to this manifestation stuff that people don't talk about and people don't understand this part. But this is very important because I think a lot of people get misled and they mess up. Here's the thing about people. What you resist, is going to persist. What you fight against, you're going to attract. What you resist is going to persist. The very thing you're fighting against, you're going to attract it. I'll give an example. Let's use wealth, because everybody's always want to get money and positive and happy and abundance. So if you are someone and all we talk about is how bad the economy is, how everything is in a state of lack, then how can you allow abundance to come in? So the very thing you're talking about, oh, the economy is bad, the inflation, I can't get enough money. Wealth, your mind cannot open now to see the possibilities to bring you the wealth. So what you're talking about, what you're fighting about, what you're becoming a victim about is the same thing that you're going to keep attracting into your life. That's why I say, whatever resists, you persist. And I give a perfect example of this before. And I use the example, I said it's like someone that just buys a new home, right? They bought this new nice house, and they put all these security features in their house. And the neighbor's like, bro, why are you putting all these cameras? He's like, man, I'm scared, man. There's violence. I might get robbed. What he's preparing against, he's going to attract. Guess what? A month down the line, his house get robbed. He attracted it. He invited it in. He was preparing against it. That's the flip side to this stuff. That's what the Matrix messed people up. Oh, you got to prepare. You got to do this. You got to do that. It's going to come. And you're attracting the same thing you're prepared. And they do that with the masses. They program people like that. Hey, man, prepare. It's going to be a bad economy. Prepare. Things are getting bad in people's mind because everyone's connected and they send out the energy. Woo! And guess what? Whatever they're fighting against, they're going to attract the same thing. See what I'm showing you? So how can I fix it, Mark? It's very simple to fix, man. You only focus on what you want. Okay? You allow stuff to come to you. Okay, now, if you want wealth, allow wealth to come into your life. So how do I allow money to come into my life, Mark? Don't watch the news. Don't watch anything about negative inflation. Don't watch anything about scarcity. Don't watch anything about lack, man. Simple. Don't watch none of that stuff. Focus on what it would look like to have wealth. You're going to allow that to come in now. What about being confused with career path? Okay, so here's the answer for you. If you don't know what to do, which is confusion, when you're confused, it means you don't know what to do. So if you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Chill, relax, keep your mind straight, focus on something that'll make you feel good. Ask your higher self what's the best career path, and then wait for the answer as an inspired action, and then you make your move. Don't go try and fix and say, well, I got to do this, and listen to people tell you to do stuff, because you're not going to be happy. The biggest lesson in all of this, people, is stop trying to fix and do and do. Listen. If you don't know what to do, don't do anything, man. Let me break down a deeper analogy of what it means by this. The fact that if someone is confused and you don't know what to do, you know what the deeper message is here? The deeper message is that the conscious mind is in a glitch mode. The conscious mind is trying to figure, which is holding your subconscious hostage. So you want to chill. You don't want to have your subconscious like hostage, like glitching. You want your subconscious to be working. So what people do now, and this is where they listen to external sources, hey man, you got to figure it out, man. You got to do something. And then you're going to take it upon yourself, and you're going to dig yourself a deeper hole. And your subconscious is going to help you do it, because it's illogical. What do you mean by the subconscious? So, okay, within your body, how you're made up, there is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 facets of your mind. You have 4 minds. You have what's called the conscious. That's your rational, everyday mind. You can see and observe and use your senses. Okay? Then there's a middle part of your mind known as the critical divide. And then there's a subconscious, which is a third. And then you have the superconscious, which is the highest form of mind. Those are 4 minds you're connected to. The middle part of your mind is what decides if something is true or isn't to the subconscious. It sends information to the subconscious. Now, the subconscious is the part of the mind that does the work to create. Your subconscious controls your actions, your habits, how you feel. Okay? Your subconscious controls your life. Your subconscious is actually 98% the dominant part of our life. That's the unsubconscious mind. It also has other functions. The subconscious controls your health, your metabolic state. It controls the immune system. It controls the functions of digestion. It controls your heart rhythm, your heart rate. It regulates what's called homeostasis. That's the body's natural temperature core. It does all that without taking a wink every single day. It controls what you think about. It controls your actions, the things you do, your talents, your gift. All of those are called the subconscious / unconscious mind. Okay? See how it works? So that's the subconscious. Hope that makes sense. The interesting thing about the subconscious or the unconscious mind is that we aren't totally in control. We only have about, let's see, 2% control. That's it. We're majority ruled by our subconscious. We've been already programmed up. Everything we're doing from today onwards is a condition of our program. And that's what I said before. I said most people don't know that they can program their mind, that they can change their life and get into the receiving mode. But I want to go back to what I was talking about what you fight against, you attract. What you resist, you come through. I want to show you guys that it's important. That's why it's important to have a one-track mind, as I like to call it. One-track mind when it comes to focusing. Whatever you want, just focus on that stuff. Everything else that doesn't matter, it's not important. Don't focus on it. How to become detached from your manifesting goals? By bringing your manifesting goals down to where you're bigger than your manifesting goals. Whatever you're manifesting cannot be bigger than you. You're always going to be attached. Whenever you bring your manifesting goals down where it's inferior to you, that's when you become detached. What if you have so many manifesting going on at once. That's fine. As long as you can focus on them, you can manifest them. What I can learn more about the subject of manifestation. Okay, what you can learn is this, is that your imagination or the world you see is within you. This world around you is actually a brilliant hallucination by your brain. Your physical world is not actually physical. Everything within the world is malleable, and it's all predicated on what you think about the most and how you feel. So if you want to bring something in, if you can create a habit where you can see it all the time by writing it down or visualize it in your head, you're going to bring it into to what you call the physical world. How do you know what you want in life? How will you ever know for sure? Because you will have a desire. When you have a desire, you know what you want. If you don't know what you want, that's fine. You're unsure right now. But there'll come a point when you'll know what you want. All right? See how it works? But what about if you're fired and sad or going through a hard time? Yes, that's normal. People are going to experience that stuff. I'm not telling you you're going to jump happy and be. So if you're sad and you're fired, you're going through a hard time, you're going to do the grievance stage. But here's the important thing though. You have to get out of that and start to focus on what you would like now. It already happened. You fired, whatever, it's done already. Now the question is, what are you going to do next? Now, you may not have control of everything, but you do have control of one thing. What direction you could put your mind in. You can focus on the life of abundance, or you can focus on why they fired you, why da. So if you focus on what you want, which is what, financial freedom, whatever, that's what's going to come to you. So the fact is, you got to focus on that. We don't control everything. You can't control everything because we are co-creators. But one of the most powerful tools we have is the access to our minds. We can actually control our mind, which can control our world and our reality. What is this? My to-do list. I write. I can go back a year later and see most of it and do what the list again. Yeah, that's what you call the future self. That shows you the evidence that time is actually irrelevant. It doesn't exist because, okay, I'll put it to you like this. You know what time really is? If you want to get technical, what we call time, here's what it really is. It's the inability of the brain to catch up to reality. That's what looks like time. Let me show you what I mean by it. Let me repeat that. Time is actually the inability of the brain to catch up to what's actually happening in reality. It's a delay because the brain is processing information at a certain speed. And reality is already, everything that is, I said before, everything that's already ever happened or will happen is already done right now in this space and time. I said your birth, your death is all done right now. You're always dying, you're always alive, and you're always being born at the same time right now. Continuous cycle going on. You're always dying, you're always being born, and you're always living at the same time. You're always graduating from high school. You're always going to pre-K school. You're always doing this all right now within the same time. I know it feels trippy for you to understand this, but this is quantum science and this is how the universe works. Let me show you a little sample of that. What happens is this, because everything is infinite and it's happening at such a tremendous rate, the amount of information that is happening right now, the brain can only process a little bit at a time. So what happens is, when something has already happened, it's just the brain decoding something like a delay feed. It's like the information is waiting. It's like, I'm waiting, but you're just too slow. And that's what gives you the illusion of time. Our brain wasn't evolved to see the real reality. Our brain was just evolved to experience what we have on this 3D phase. Does that make sense? Hopefully that just makes sense. Right. Do you believe others have free will in our subjective reality bubble? Yeah, I think all of us have a semblance of free will. Because the reason why, because we live in 3 dimensions. So we can go left, right, up, down. So I can sit here and I can decide to go out of my car. That's an example of free will. See, the thing is, your overall destiny is predetermined. Like your desires, the big stuff, that's already predetermined by you already. The big goals. So that's where I said there's actually free will is an illusion. Your ultimate goal is already done deal. That's why I told you everything is already happened. That is happening is already happening now. The trick is our regular mind is incapable of understanding that stuff. So I can go different routes to reach my goal. That's an example of what we call free will. Are infinite lifetimes all happening at once? Yes. Every single thing that has ever happened, that ever will happen, is happening right now in this space and time. Right as I'm sitting in my car, in this space right here, all of it. Infinite versions, everything is happening right now. As I said before, you've always been dead, you always were alive, you always will be being born, all at the same time. You always achieved the goals, you always been going to high school, you always got married, you always was a baby, you always, all right now at the same time. All happening right now, in this very moment. Right now, it's all going on. What happens is, you're one version, and this version of you is just experiencing the fractal point of that entire thing. But the point said, it's already done, it's already laid out. Now, if you are a higher being, like say God, or what people call God, then you can go above this dimension, and then you can see your entire timeline. So if you're a superior being that lived in the, let's say you lived in the 8th dimension, because in the 8th dimension, that's where you can see all this stuff in the 8th dimension. So if you went to the 8th dimension, then you could look down, and you could see my timeline, you can see my birth, you can see my death, you can see her death, her birth, you can see that everything, because I'm looking down from another dimension. See, reality is like on a 2D surface. It's flat. So reality is 2D. Is actually 2-dimensional. The reason we see 3-dimensional is because of what we call a holographic principle of our brains project things with length, width, and height. But space-time is actually flat like this, and it's actually a projection. That's why I showed you that the world is not physical. It's like a holographic thing. It's an illusion. It's like a video game. So if I was a high being person, I could look at the entire timeline. That's your higher self can do that, by the way. So if you want to, that's why your higher self can get you information that you would never know before. That's why I was able to win the lottery, and I bought those stuff a year before, because my higher self showed me. He said, go buy the car cover, go buy the thing, because it already seen me already won the lottery down the line already. So you have that higher self. How do you get educated on what you're speaking about, sir? Quantum physics. How particles, how nucleus, atoms work, the fundamental building blocks of life, the universe cosmology, how the universe began, or the universe doesn't have a beginning. It's just a phase, it's just a different phase. But if you understand the basic nature of what we call reality, like how stuff come into existence, then you can kind of trace it back, and you can see, because the bottom line is, you and I couldn't be here if we weren't made from the same particles that make everything, the atoms, the nucleus, electrons. So that's how you know that. And then how do we know that all these infinite different realities exist? Well, if we examine a particle, an atom, a particle must always become a wave before it becomes an atom. Did you know an atom, its natural state is a wave? It's only when we observe it, it becomes an atom. So when something is a wave, it means it exists in all the possible outcomes. You are a wave. I am a wave. We are made from that stuff. So that means all possible outcomes that could ever happen. And then plus the universe is infinite. Plus the particles that make us aren't infinite. So they have to repeat at some point. So we put it together, we see that, wait a minute, there has to be a duplicate copy of me, and every option or every decision I ever made has to turn out. Let me give you an example of this. When I was going to school and I was getting ready, I was in school, and my grandma and my aunt, they wanted me to come. I was to Atlanta, and my aunt, she was like this big computer programmer for like the department stores, right? So she's like, Mark, you should come here. I'll get you a job working, like doing data entry, and you can start your life, live with me and your grandmother. Okay? So she gave me that option. I didn't choose it. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I took my own option. So what happens is the universe broke off. So that means there's the reality where Mark went, lived with his grandma, became a data entry. So that branched off into another universe. The option I took is what brought me here. If I didn't take that option, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I'd probably live in probably wouldn't even get into spirituality and all that stuff. So that means for every decision that you didn't make or did make, the opposite has to occur in a branch universe. That's the wave. The wave has to have possible. So with that being said, that means there has to be other dimensions, and all these dimensions are in the same space. It's just that our senses aren't tuned to it. If your senses aren't tuned to something, you're not going to feel it, touch it, smell it, or taste it, but yet it could still be in the same space. Because the physics that make up that universe may be just the charge. The electromagnetic charge may just be off a little bit, and that's all it takes for you not to see it. So that's what I mean by everything exists in the same time. So that's how it works. So think about this, guys. Every decision, remember that time you decided not to go to the dance? How about the time you decided not to take that job? Well, the universe splits off in a version of you took that job. Every decision or indecision, if I get out my car right now and I go that way, instead of going that way, the reality broke off where I went that way. Because it's the wave, quantum physics. The wave must be of all possible outcomes, and then when you observe it, it becomes what we call a definite thing, a particle. So that's how we know that everything that has ever happened or will ever happen has already happened. We're just playing out the scene that's already been predestined. So how does that work if it's already predetermined? Well, it works because in these different dimensions or realities of your separate consciousness. So the Mark that's doing all this stuff, I can never go contact him. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't exist because I can't tap into that person physically. I'm only aware of my consciousness. But the fact is that it's out there somewhere, according to quantum theory. Now, there is a way that I can tap into that Mark, but it has to do with my mind. I can tap into that Mark, which you call the future Mark. I can tap into maybe his gifts or his talents, and I can bring that to this version of me right now. That's what people do when they quantum jump. That's how people learn like special skills and become really great at doing stuff. They tap into their versions and they pick it up. Because another law of quantum theory states that nothing is separate. When the universe began, it began from this little singularity and exploded, which made all of us. So at one point, we were all connected, and we're still connected, and it's called quantum entanglement. You cannot get to your physical self, though. You can't go and visit your physical self. It's because if you get into that universe, you instantly implode, because the atomic structure of that universe is different. Your body, you would get sick and die immediately, because your cells and the particles, the way your cells vibrate, the charge of your cells is incomparable to that universe. So if you pop in that universe, you might just explode, because you aren't finely tuned to live in that universe. You're only finely tuned to live in this universe where you're at right now. Have you read Autobiography of a Yogi. Oh, no, I haven't. So that's why you can't see these or interact with these different versions of yourself, because the way, like, you and I are made in this universe, that's why they can't come into this universe, because they come into this universe, they'll implode because they're charged and they don't even know that you exist in this universe. Probably not. And you can't go into their universe because when the particles are cooling, they charge a different rate. So if the charge is off a little bit, your entire DNA is off. So if you go in there, it's like, you can't exist there. See how it works? Did we choose to come to Earth? I believe so, but I also believe that this is only one Earth. There's infinite Earths. And to be technical, what about other planets that are better than Earth? Earth is not the most habitable planet. Did you know that? Did you know that our planet, now that science is looking out and they see all these different planets, our planet is actually pretty inhospitable. If you look at it, look at our planet. Most of our planet, the land portion, is desert. Majority of it is water. A lot of it is mountainous terrains. And the atmosphere, the pressure, there's other planets that are way more hospitable than Earth. There's other planets that are more like archipelago. That means the structure of the land is a lot more flat. It's more like tropical. So the weather system pattern will be more sustainable. It'll be more consistent. There won't be like hurricanes and all that stuff. The atmospheric pressure will be a lot better. You can it'll be lighter to walk. Your body, the gravity won't, when you age, your back won't go down as much. People don't even know that, man. They think Earth is the most hospitable planet. It's actually not. They actually have a scale. You go look at it. There's a scale of habitable worlds. Earth, according to the habitable worlds they're finding, Earth is like low on the totem scale. Just a little bigger, be better for our lungs and all that stuff. So, see, what you don't know, you don't know. So my point is, there's infinite things happening. There's infinite worlds. You choose to come here at this point. You know, your consciousness. But remember now, you're still connected to all of these points, to all of your versions of yourself, infinite. Even though you aren't consciously, but unconsciously on a higher realm, you are connected if you know how to tap in through meditation. But consciously, you will never be able to tap in on an analytical base. And physically, you can never go visit it in a spaceship or through a wormhole to get there, because you won't find it, because the laws of physics have changed and your senses won't perceive it. Now, you can take a wormhole to go to another dimension or galaxy. In this universe, you can't do that. How long do you meditate for? 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, 30, 20 minutes. Meditation is not about the time. Meditation is all about quality, not quantity. You can meditate. People think you have to meditate for a long time. You can take 10 seconds and meditate. Just put yourself in a state. Because remember what I taught you guys. There is no time in the universe. Everything is now. We put concepts on time. It's all about quality versus quantity. See how it works? Yeah, these are on my YouTube channel. Go to Mark Haughton and I upload a lot of these on there. Where do you find these sessions? Yeah, they're on my channel, Mark Haughton. Like 4 of them, past 4 lives I've done. Right. How do you meditate in a short amount of time with good quality? Well, that comes with practice and discipline. Like if you can just lock in right now and cut everything out, you're meditating. That's it. It's just about focus. It's about like blocking out what's going on and just getting into what you call your zen or your happy place. Get into your zen or happy place, you're meditating. Or you can just close your eyes, take some nice deep breaths, listen to your deep breaths, follow your heart rate, listen to it. That's meditation. Someone says clearing the mind. Yeah, you can practice that. That's now you're meditating. The thing about meditation, guys, is meditation is primarily designed to download information to you. When you meditate, you're not supposed to be like visualizing anything. You're supposed to be in a state of being. You're supposed to just be focused on nothing, just your breath and everything, and be open. That's what meditation is. Because meditation is designed for you to receive information that's waiting for you from your higher self to send to you. And you can do that anytime. Yes, you're happy. You're happy wherever your happy place is. You can use that to enter meditation. But once you get to your happy place, just focus on your breathing and just what's happening in the moment. Just focus on what's going on now, right now. What's happening in this moment. That's meditation. What happened to my higher self? What do you mean what happened to your higher self? Everybody has a higher self. It's that version of you. So what is the higher self? People ask me that question all the time. What is my higher self, Mark? What is the true? Well, the higher self, to get technical, you know what the higher self is? The higher self is the beginning of everything. The higher self is the consciousness, the universal consciousness. Let me make it simple for you so you can answer. The higher self is that feeling you get when you know something ain't right. The higher self is that premonition, that dream you saw and it came true. The higher self is that quiet voice that helped you out and gave you the ideas. The higher self is that feeling in your gut. That's higher self. That's the true you. Yes, someone says higher self is truth. I would agree. And the thing with the higher self is, your higher self is what puts you in this game. You're like an avatar. You watch the movie Avatar, there's someone like behind the scenes, there's these people like they're sleeping in a chamber and they just go into the avatar. Your body is an avatar. Your higher self is up from a different location, like playing this game. I don't know what dimension your higher self is in. It could be the 8th dimension, the 10th dimension, or it could be beyond dimensions that we're aware of. It could be new science or new things we haven't discovered yet. But it's out there, so it's not here because you can see everything. Maybe the higher self is dimensionless. Maybe it's everywhere here and everywhere at the same time. But I know it's not in the 3D. It's not in three-dimensional reality because it has access to your entire timeline. So it must be from a different. Your dreams are not three-dimensional. Your dreams are actually in 5D. You can never dream in 3D because if you notice when you dream, your dreams will never have time in there. You cannot perceive time in your dreams. So that means you're in a different reality. We have 4 dimensions in our reality. We have 3 dimensions, and then we have a 4th dimension of time in our world. So we actually don't live in 3 dimensions. We actually do live in 4 dimensions. So we're not actually in a 3 dimension. And the 4th dimension is we incorporate time into that dimension. You see, with the 3D world, we have freedom. But with time, you're constantly stuck in the present. You're either moving from the past to the present to what you call the future. So you're from moment to moment. So that's the only thing we can't change. But a higher being, a higher dimension, the time to them is like a different point. They can go from past, future to present. That's why I talk about the entire timeline. That's what your higher self can do. You and I, we're a prisoner of the moment. You can't go to the future. You can't go to the past. You're just constantly. Let me show you an example of what it is. When you go to somewhere, meet me at Publix. What time? Okay. Meet me at 12 o'clock. Where at? See, in 3D you have to have time and location. So we have 4 dimensions. Meet me at that building on 2nd Street on the 12th floor at 1 p.m. That's how things are going to manifest in the 4th dimension. You can't just say, meet me at that building on the 12th floor. Your friend is going to say, what time? See? So we incorporate time in our dimension, which gives us 4 dimensions. 5D dimension is a dimension where the 4 dimensions don't constitute. That's basically what 5 dimensions is. Yeah, when you're dreaming, you're incapable of processing time in your dream. That's why sometimes you can fall asleep and then you wake up, you'll feel like time passed, and your friend will say, man, you only been sleeping for like 5 minutes. Your body, because your body is adjusted to time. Your body, now the body, see, there's clock time and there's psychological time. Clock time, when we look at our watches and we see psychological time, is where the mind, the body makes up time according to what it senses, but that's also false. That's an illusion. Yeah, there's no future. Someone says that there's only now. There's no past. The past is from what, right to where I'm going. So you're constantly being forced in the present at all times. Your mind makes up past and future, but there's always just a present, and we're trapped there. We're prisoners of the present. Your mind developed this idea to get you out of the present by making up a fake future, or what you call a future, but it doesn't really. So 5D is really where you utilize faith. Anything from 5D on up is where you get the good stuff. Is where you faith comes in. You get your gifts like astral projection, psychic ability. Only occur out of 4D dimension. You cannot get those in a 3D aspect. The only thing you can experience is in 3D is your predominant 5 senses, awareness, etc. Manifestation creates in 5D and up. You experience them in 3D. Everything has to dummy itself down to get to our dimension. Think about that. That's how slow and low our brains are. Everything has to dummy itself down to make sense to us. Because we can't perceive those higher dimensions. We can't perceive higher senses. And that's to give us the illusion of time. That's why it takes so long for things to come to us, because our brain is, the delay our brain has to do to process information, we have to wait. So if you want to blame it on the evolution of our brain. What does it mean when you dream in color? It's simple. It could mean a lot of stuff. It represents different stuff. People see colors in their dreams all the time. So you see how this works, right? Clocks are man-made creation. Is sun and moon, it has no time. Yeah, man, we use the sun and moon to create time, but it's not real. It's just we made up. We use a cycle, night, day, and remember our bodies evolve, which is called psychological time. That's why you develop what's called a circadian rhythm. It's the brain adapting to the change of the sun to the night, and the body develops to sleep and to recharge itself. But those are things that we create and we adapt it to. Yeah, people see color in their dreams. I see color in my dreams. So I do what I want when I want. That's my clock. That's good. So my 5D is really where we utilize faith. That is 100% correct. 5D is where you utilize faith. I dreamt of $10 ticket unscratched, and it hit for 300. Is that 300,000 at my normal store months later? So you are tapping into another timeline of a win. So you can still win. If you get a dream of that certain ticket, I'll still play that ticket. Would you say that remote viewing is 5D? Yes. Anything trippy or psychic or anything you're seeing things in what you call future premonition, feelings, intuition. They're not coming from a 3D. They are coming from 5D and up. You cannot. The mind is incapable of processing those information. Your conscious mind doesn't process those things. Those are supernatural stuff. They come via your subconscious, then to your conscious mind. Only then. And even then, sometimes they come in, your mind doesn't make sense of it. It can't believe it. That's when people manifest things, they're in shock because they can't believe it came through. And their mind will find a way to disprove it. To say, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. And to be honest, guys, I mean, some of this stuff, science is not even caught up to it yet to fix it, to figure it out yet. So the science is dumb. And what science does, when science can't figure something out, they stay away from it. They don't talk about it too much. They don't. They put it in. They put it in the term as what they call it. They put it in the term of pseudoscience because they can't figure it out. So they class it in like, okay, this is the weird. So we're not going to touch on this. That's why I don't find too much stuff about like astral projection, remote viewing. They don't go into that because they can't figure that stuff out. Like telepathy, the mind, even the one of the most famous ones that we experience every day is the placebo effect. Their science is stumped by that too. They only know it works. They don't know why it works. They don't even know how it works. They just know it works. They just know that, hey, there's something going on here that if we can get the body and the mind to believe something, they'll manifest it. That's the placebo effect. That's what it is. The body will manifest something because they believe it. I am working on knowing the difference between intuitive nudges and egotistical decisions with lottery. Yep, that's work in progress. That's going to take time. You have to, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's going to be instantly easy for you to know the difference between your higher self and your ego. That's something you're going to have to do trial and error with because it's only unique to you. But it's there, and you have to know who's who. Like I know who's who with me. You got to know who's with you, and that takes like time to judge. You're going to make some mistakes, and then you're going to know, oh, damn, so that's the ego. So next time I won't do that. Oh, that's the higher self. I got it now. That's the only way you're going to do this stuff. You got to go through the fire, man. And then once you do that, you're gonna get it. You're gonna say, all right, now I know myself. And see, now you're gonna become like good at manifesting and creating your world. Now you're gonna have a lot more success now because now you'll know like, all right, this is the ego. Chill out. Welcome higher self. See, because you've been experiencing your own mind and body. Like I can give you blueprints, but I can't tell someone this is what the ego. I can give you like the general consensus of it. I can say to you, well, look, when it's your ego, you're going to feel a certain type of way. When it's your higher self, you're not going to feel any type of way. That's all I can do. I can tell you that because that's how it works. I said, when it's your ego, you're going to definitely feel those weird feeling like nervousness, anxiousness, impatience. When it's your higher self, man, you're going to always feel like peace, like everything is going good. I can tell you the next one. When it's the ego, the voice is going to be more demanding. When it's the higher self, it's going to be a relaxed, like a mother's voice or something like that. That's basically I can tell you. The rest of it, you're going to have to figure out. And then as you figure it out, you're going to learn it. But I think the easiest one of the easiest ways to do it that I mastered it, I just figured out, okay, when it's my ego, I'm going to feel a certain type of way. When it's my higher self, I'm not going to feel any type of way. See, that was my blueprint. I manifested 1 million and I'm getting 250,000. That's amazing. See? People are doing it out there. Congratulations. But the key is to master, to know these two different voices so that you can use the correct one to help you. Majority of people are controlled by the ego one. They don't even most people don't even recognize that there's a higher self in them. Most people create through ego. We are controlled through our ego. When the person who figures out that there's two different voices and the person who tunes into the higher self, and you got to use the ego when to use the ego, you got to use your higher self when. See, you're not going to completely shut your ego out because you're going to need your ego. Your ego is very good. It will help you to see stuff. It'll kind of keep you safe. It'll give you warnings, you know. It'll show you patterns and say, hey, man, I do this. That's what you use it for. But what most people, what we do, we use our ego for everything. We try to use our ego to create our manifestation. And you don't want to do that because then it's not going to work. You're not going to get what you want. You're just going to get a lot of doubt and you're going to get frustrated and everything. Once you use your higher self to work with your ego, then that's when you see like a lot of success, because that's how you're made to do that, right? You got it. That's how this stuff works, man. And that's why I said this stuff is not out there for people to know, but it is, it's facts. It's in you. I mean, you're experiencing it right now probably, but you know, there is that higher self in you. There is a voice in you right now that has all the answers to help you to achieve all your goals. 100%. And right, I can tell you what, I can tell you another fact. It is talking to you at this very moment. I'm talking to you, and it is giving you information to change your life. But the problem is you haven't discovered it yet because you didn't know how to tune into it, and you don't know how to listen to it because your ego has been so dominant. Until you can start to figure out, and then that's why I always say keep like an evidence journal, like write stuff down. When you notice weird stuff happening, okay, this happened today, I should have listened to this, I should have followed that gut feeling. When you start to write stuff down and you journal your stuff or your evidence, a picture is going to start to emerge, and you're going to see a pattern. You're going to recognize, damn, when I do this I don't get success, but when I do that I get success. Now you're going to start to pinpoint the higher self versus the ego, and then you're going to be able to, bam, control your life, right? My higher self has saved me from dangerous situations when I was unaware there was danger. Yep. Right. Higher self. So, hey, look, everybody have it. You guys have it. You just got to learn to tap into it. And the best thing to do is to practice on yourself. You're gonna practice every day. Might as well do it because it's gonna help you. It's going to change your life. What does it mean when you dream that you're pregnant? Pregnancy dreams always mean something. Giving birth means like manifestation of a business or your goals or your dreams. Or it could also mean that if you're pregnant, if you're looking for a baby. But most dreams of pregnancy, they mean that giving birth to a new beginning, to something that you've been wanting or desiring. It's like it's coming, so it's a good sign. Birth, pregnancy, dreaming of that stuff is a great sign. It means that abundance or whatever you're working at is about to come into your reality. Because birth, see, pregnancy, birth, new beginning. How can I manifest? How can I manifest more money? Is that what it is? I had an experience. Look, remember what I said before. What you fight against, you're inviting it in. You're gonna attract it. What you resist, you're gonna persist. So if money's the same thing. So ask yourself this question: what are your focus on money? Where is your mind on money? Are you seeing how bad the economy is? Are you seeing how high, what they call inflation? Are you seeing how expensive stuff are? More likely, your brain is not open to see money coming into your life. Your brain is now seeing the opposite. Now your brain can't open for the abundance of it. So first of all, you got to cut that stuff out. You got to stop focusing on that, and you got to start focusing on what would it look like. Because the fact is, people are still making a lot of money now. It's all happening right now. So if you focus on that, now you're going to allow your brain to channel information, and that's how you'll get more money. But you cannot be abundant yet in a state of lack. It's not going to work. What do I mean by that? You cannot be thinking abundance, but yet your current reality, you're focusing on all the lack of your reality. You're focusing on the economy, you're focusing on that, you're focusing, but in your mind you want to be abundant. It's not going to work. You have to go one direction. Your mind wants to see one pattern. Your mind doesn't want to be confused. Confusion is not good for your mind. It's not good for your manifestation either. Confusion is going to give you weird manifestation. That's why people always say, man, I've been manifesting good stuff, but then I get some bad stuff. That's confusion. Give your mind what you want and stay with it. Don't go changing your mind all the time. Don't go switching it up, because you're going to confuse. Confused is going to get confusing manifestations. So if you're getting weird manifestations, if you're getting inconsistency, once you start to analyze and think, hey, am I confused? Because if you're confused, then you got to chill and wait until you know what you want. If you don't know what to do, chill. Wait until you get higher self to give you the inspiration. You don't know what to do, chill. Go inside yourself, figure out what you're good at, listen to you, find out your desires. Don't go trying to fix this stuff and try to do it yourself, because you're not going to work. You're just going to create more resistance. All right, guys. Thank you again, and I'll see you again, and I'll see if I can save this and upload it for you guys. Thank you.